Welcome to day 5 now, Friday, of our Advent readings through Isaiah. Today we are at chapters 13, 14, and 15. Just by way of note, I do realize that these videos, while they last roughly 10 minutes, they fail to cover everything from our readings. That's partly intentional. I'm not certain that anybody wants to sit down for a 30-minute video on a daily basis. And also, this is more of a guide to give you a little something supplemental to get through your reading. We certainly, in the expression, the Lord add His richest blessing to the reading of His Word, is something that I pray during this study, that as we each read, even though there's elements that may be difficult to interpret and understand, yet that the Holy Spirit will be with us and will guide us in our reading and offer us His unique voice. So as we are in this layer of 3 chapters, it's something of a sandwich effect. Chapters 13 and 15 are something of the bread of this sandwich. And chapter 15 here, which was the last chapter to be read, is the judgment of Moab. Now, if you're with us on Sunday mornings or listening to the sermon recordings, you'll realize that Ruth, that we are currently going through in Advent, she was a Moabite. This is a big deal. However, that has nothing to do with this study. It's just coincidental. The time frame of Isaiah comes noticeably later than that of Ruth. But yet, it seems now in Isaiah and all of its view and pictures of judgment that no one is exempt. Moab is not exempt. And then we go back to chapter 13, where our reading started, and Babylon's not exempt. Yesterday we read how Assyria was not exempt from the judgment, and certainly Judah and Israel, their own selves, are not exempt from this judgment. And so that there's continues to be judgment everywhere, peppered in and sprinkled in a little bit of hope, or a significant amount of hope. Here with the judgment of Babylon in chapter 13. Now, Babylon is the empire now that's very significantly rising up. Under Nebuchadnezzar, they are the ones that everybody else, including the Assyrians, are afraid of. They're marching from place to place, and nations are succumbing in their path. But here, as the situation remains unstable in Judah, remember, their good king of 50 years, Uzziah, has died. And now his grandson Ahaz is reigning, but yet Ahaz is very uncertain and doesn't know which direction to go. The people are uncertain because uncertain leadership breeds uncertainty amongst the people. Here they are being reminded that God is going to judge the Moabites, as well as the Babylonians here, who in Babylon is the one that marches in through Israel into Jerusalem, destroys the temple, and takes the sacred vessels of the temple back to Babylon. But even now, Isaiah writes that God is stirring up the Medes to attack Babylon, and theirs are the ones, the Medes and the Persians are the ones who will bring Babylon down. And in the same way that the land of Judah was likened to Sodom and Gomorrah back in our reading earlier in the week here, Babylon is no exception. They will be destroyed because, just like Sodom and Gomorrah. And part of their condemnation is their honor and pride and how admired they are. And throughout this letter, we are reading that the proud are going to be brought low and humbled. Why? Because the humble people, the poor and the widows and the orphans that we've read, they are being neglected and they are being mistreated. God is not on the side of the powerful, so it would seem, but God is on the side of those who are forgotten about. And so, sandwiched in between chapters 13 and 15 is the optimistic text in all of this. Chapter number 14. That even while Israel had been taken captive by the Babylonians, here the Lord is going to have compassion on Jacob, or Israel, and will again choose Israel as his special people and restore them. So don't think God has forgotten about us, Isaiah is saying. However, in their restoration is going to look different. Look at here. Resident foreigners are going to join them and unite with the family of Jacob. Now, there was provision within the Jewish law of how to treat resident foreigners and refugees. However, to these people of ethnic pride, there wasn't much consideration for the foreigners and refugees to actually join with them and unite in the family. And in fact, this is an area where, if you've been following along in our Ruth study on Sunday mornings, here's a bridge here that I'll use to connect that. While the tradition of Ruth precedes the writing of Isaiah to quite an extent, its actual writing was after the time of Isaiah. And so the occasion of Ruth was when people started to return after Babylon had conquered the people. They were returning, and then they were a mixed people. Remember, Ruth was a resident foreigner, but she was joining with the family of Israel. And so that is the occasion that Ruth is written on. That these ethnic lines are going to be very confused. And as I've continued to remind you, that ultimately what this book is doing is looking toward Jesus, when under the institution of the permanent kingdom, the permanent Israel, the permanent Jerusalem, and permanent temple, that is going to very much be a covenant that includes the foreigners. And if the judgment of Babylon is not enough in chapter 13, and Moab is not enough in chapter 15, here in chapter 14, as it reaches the conclusion, there's one more element that is going to be judged, and that is the Philistines. And by now, this has come in the year that Ahaz has died. And so these writings are surviving through Uzziah, and now through King Ahaz, his grandson. And so here, this is the voice of the prophet for the people of God through a lot of political transition, as well as a significant amount of geopolitical and military intrigue going on in that part of the world. And this is forming pretty much the basis for the deeper elements of poetry that Isaiah will encounter here by way of Isaiah's pen in the chapters to come. Okay, this video is reaching 10 minutes now, and I hope to visit with you all tomorrow in our Saturday reading.